Hello folks, and welcome to the fourth and final video in the Digital DJ Masterclass free training event. Now I'm here in the studio. It's a little bit different to the other three because this is where I get to answer your questions from the other three videos. This is the stuff you guys have been asking over and over again. So if you haven't actually seen the first three videos, please go and watch them now. You'll see there are hundreds and hundreds of comments and replies underneath those videos. So thank you to everyone who's taken part in that. The reason I'm asking you to go and watch them now is that this whole thing is going to disappear in a matter of a day or so because the free training ends, and then we invite people who want to take this further to come and join us on the Digital DJ Masterclass full training course. If you want information about that, sign up below. There's an email link there where you can get onto our list and we'll email you and let you know all about it. But just a word of warning, it's only there once a year. There's a limited number of places and it is oversubscribed this year. So if you want to know about that Digital DJ Tips Masterclass course, you must sign up now so I can email you, as I say, in a day or so, and let you know the second it opens so you can potentially grab yourself a place. Okay, all that over. I've spent a little bit of time this morning going through those comments and compiling the questions that have been coming up again and again. And so here's just a few of them. I'm going to get through as many as I can in the 20 minutes or so we've got for this video. The first one is from, and I apologise, I always pick someone whose name I can't pronounce at the beginning. I have no idea why. Fode Nemendekar. So Fode, I'm sorry if I got your surname wrong there. He says, hey Phil, I really enjoyed the three videos, but I have a question. I saw that you are using Traktor and I have Serato. Which one is your favourite? Which one do you recommend and why? Well, I'll preface the answer to this with the fact that your software is an important choice, but once you've got your software, really the skills of DJing are far more important than that, and they can all be taught on all the software, on Traktor, Virtual DJ and Serato. We teach on all of those. We also teach on CDJs and record decks and so on. The point is, the skills of DJing are pretty universal, and once you know them, it doesn't really matter what software or hardware you're using. So bear that one in mind. But to your specific question, Traktor is good for EDM. Traktor is good for any electronic music that's programmed with a drum machine. It's got the functions are all built around you chopping stuff up, sampling stuff, remixing stuff live, and it needs to lock onto that beat for all that to happen. Serato, on the other hand, is better if you want to play a broader selection of music. Maybe you want to play some old disco and funk, maybe you want to play hip hop and pop and mix them all up. Serato is stronger there because it has a better way of handling that kind of music against Traktor. But to be honest, really, whichever one you're comfortable with, whichever one you happen to have or your equipment works with, it's going to be absolutely fine. So Sean in Edinburgh says, any tips on moving up the tempo in a set? Say I start off at 116, but want to be near a 122 near the end of my set. Well, that's not a big jump, that, Sean. Any tips other than just increasing the tempo slightly with each track? And on a related note, Ricardo says, can you explain how to mix two songs that have a massive BPM difference, 20 plus? For instance, a trap song at 80 and a house song at 128. So this is all kind of the same kind of thing. What do you do with BPMs in a set when your tunes are different? And really, when it comes to mixing tunes that are close together, like Sean asks, then my kind of rule of thumb is to try and mix somewhere between the BPMs of them both. So if you've got a 118 and a 122, for instance, Sean, try and get the 118 to 120 and the 122 down to 120, so you're mixing them at the same BPM, but they're not that different from where they were recorded, so the audience is less likely to notice. And when it comes to actually changing that BPM, I like to do it just obviously in very small amounts, so your audience doesn't notice, and I like to do it kind of randomly. If you were to do it on the one beat, on the bit where people are expecting something to happen, in my view, they might notice a bit more. But if you just kind of tweak it a bit surreptitiously somewhere else, halfway through a bar or halfway through a section, 3 or 4 times just to get up a BPM or two, generally people don't notice. And the other thing is you're generally the first to hear if you've gone a bit far, so just lay off a bit and hope that you got away with it. But when it comes to the big BPM changes, one problem people have is they think they have to beat mix everything. You know, beat mixing from a 128 into an 80, for instance, is quite hard. You can do it, you can use effects and tricks and key locks and so on, but you generally need to practice that stuff beforehand, record it, listen to it and say, yeah, that works well. But there's nothing wrong with just stopping one tune and starting another one crisply and cleanly on a one beat, because people expect BPM changes in DJing nowadays. You know, open format DJs, it's where it's at. It's okay to chop and change. Again, record it and listen back, because you'll be amazed at what you can kind of get away with, especially if the energy levels are similar between the tracks and the keys match. There's lots of reasons why you don't have to respect BPM, but recording your sets and listening back is the best way to spot those, because that's the only time you're going to hear your set as everyone else would hear it, because when you're DJing you don't tend to hear it in the same way as you would when you were listening or dancing or whatever. So record your sets, experiment, and don't be a slave to beat mixing. So Rick Sharp in Toronto says, how much is the Masterclass going to cost when it goes on sale? Rick, we will let you know all that in a day or so, but trust me, it costs less than a day in a decent DJ school in a big city. Cost is not a consideration. We have some nice payment plans there as well. So keep your eye open for that one. Okay, Salvador Herrera III at Cornell University says, a few months ago, when I used to DJ using my entire iTunes library, I still came across instances where I didn't have a song someone wanted to hear. Since then, I've dramatically consolidated my library, good lad, and organised it into much smaller DJ-friendly collections by genre and BPM. However, when I go to gigs, I have a gut feeling that I'm letting people down if I can't play a certain song. It's impossible to have everything, but any thoughts on this? Well, yeah, it's a hard one. We've all had that feeling, Salvador, when your heart sinks because you haven't got a tune. But really, you're employed as a DJ because they're trusting you to have the tunes that people want to hear and to know more than the crowd in a way what they want to hear. If you can take them on a nice journey, if you can play stuff that most of them like, if you can keep most of the people happy most of the time, you're going to overall do a better job than if you're a slave to every single individual request. So I would say, yes, you're right to feel that. You know, if you don't feel that ever, then you probably don't even care about your crowd, and that's a bad place to be in when you're a DJ. But give yourself a bit of slack there as well. You spent a lot of time collecting those tunes, organising those tunes, working out how they fit together. People will see that as well as the individual tunes. So they'll see what you're doing is more than just song, song, song. They'll say, you know, this guy's doing well, he's keeping the flow, he's keeping the energy. And in order to do that, you need to, you know, you can't keep everyone happy. But I'm pleased that you raised that, Salvador, because that is how DJs ought to feel. You don't want to disregard your crowd. As I say, it's a dangerous road to go down, that one. Okay, Mike Attridge, he is a freelance photographer, and he says, where's the best place to buy non-mainstream music? I love techno, house and deep house, and I like different versions of music you just can't get on Amazon and iTunes. Where shall I get the best music from? Okay, Mike. DJs used to search high and low for their music. When we played records, we would go to charity shops, we would go to different cities, we would go to distributors if we could get into their warehouses. We would guard what we found, and we would find it in places that we thought, haha, no one else has been here. One real big piece of advice I can give you in the digital world is don't expect any single place, underground or overground, commercial or, you know, tiny little subgenres, don't expect any place to give you everything you want. It doesn't work like that, and you are missing out on so much by doing it that way. Let me give you an example. I have a friend who only plays music that he finds on SoundCloud. And the reason he does that is he thinks everything else is too easy to find. He thinks the DJs who go to Traxsource or to Beatport or to all the undergroundy stores, it's too obvious. So he goes searching for producers who aren't signed, whose tracks have had maybe 20 or 30 or 100 listens, and that are offered for download on SoundCloud and other very, very small places like that. And that's where he gets his music from. And he's just acting on that instinct that if you go into the unknown little places in the corner of the internet, you're going to find more interesting stuff. I would say go to Beatport, as I mentioned, Traxsource, Juno Download, all those stores that specialise in dance, underground type tunes rather than just the full mainstream charty stuff. But at the same time, do not rule out going to weird blogs, look at blog aggregators like Hype Machine and places like that. And just befriend people on SoundCloud, befriend people on Facebook whose music you like, and start to build a network of people you trust. And listen to radio shows as well. It's another big tip. If you can find radio shows by people whose music that you love, whose taste you love, they will be the ones putting the little tentacles out and unearthing stuff that maybe you wouldn't be able to find on your own. It's kind of a shortcut to getting the good stuff. So really, I guess what I'm saying, Mike, is search high and low and don't try and rely on one place because you'll get very stale quite quickly. Okay, Miguel, and he says, in my case, I'm trying to do all the stuff you mentioned here in the videos, but my big problem is to do it regularly. I DJ as a hobby because I'm passionate about music and I can't live without it, but I know that dedicating more time will probably improve my skills. This is so common, Miguel. I mean, so many people are saying, I just don't have the time for DJing. You know, we're all busy. A lot of people have got full-time jobs or you're a student or so on. And you kind of feel inferior if you haven't got the time to put into searching for your tunes and practicing and so on. But here's the thing. Nothing worthwhile doing was done in a day. So you need to realise that this is a journey and you're going to, little and often is going to get you to where you want to go in the end. So never discount, you know, any time you have got. But the second thing is if you have a system that allows you to do the important things, at least a bit of all the important things all the time, you're gonna use the time you do have to its best. So my system is very simple. Have music playing all the time. Have music playing everywhere you can possibly listen to music. Phone, car, there's all kinds of things you can do to just have music on all the time. Collect that music all the time, whether it's Shazam or a notepad or whatever, and then really forget it. That's all you have to do day to day. Just keep collecting music and listening to music. Once a week, stick an hour aside, and in that hour, start looking back at the stuff you've written down, Shazammed, collected the names of, listening to it again, and deciding the stuff that you think you might want to DJ with, and then try and find maybe another hour at minimum once a week to start practicing DJing with that stuff. The final bit of the equation is book yourself DJ gigs. Because when you've got a DJ gig booked, trust me, you find the time to practice. So the final part of that little jigsaw that I've just explained is book a gig, always have something in the diary, and then you will find time to practice and prepare for it. And you will learn more at those one-off gigs you play, maybe once a month or even 3 or 4 times a year. You'll learn more in that hour or two DJing live than you ever would learn trying to put whole weekends aside to suddenly become a good DJ. It doesn't work like that. Little and often, and play out as much as you can. And don't beat yourself up. Not everyone has time to do it full time. It doesn't mean you can't get an awful lot of fun from it. Okay. Edward Ainsworth in Sweden says, I'm interested in your digital DJ masterclass, but I don't want a career in DJing, probably a bit like you, Miguel. I just want to do it for fun. Is it going to be the kind of thing for me? Well, Edward, the course teaches you to DJ like a pro using digital DJ gear. And when you've taken the course, you will understand how to use all kind of stuff I've got in front of me here and anything else you could possibly walk up to. But there's the key. It teaches you to DJ like a pro. If you want to take that and become a pro DJ, become a full-time DJ, great. But if you want to learn that so you've got that kind of immense satisfaction in your heart that you're fulfilling what you've wanted to do, you know the skills, your mixes are sounding great, people are complimenting you when you play gigs, you love it and it works, but you want to carry on doing what else you're doing, it's perfectly fine as well. It's not designed to give you a career in DJing, it's designed to give you the skills that you can then take on and have a career in DJing, or take on and have the best hobby in the world. It's up to you. So yes, it's perfectly fine for you, whether either of those things are what your aim is. Okay, let's do this one here. This is from Andretta. When I'm playing a set at the club, should I pre-select the order of the music that I'm going to play so I can put more time into using mixer effects on the currently playing track, or should I take tracks I'm familiar with and just mix the order up a bit, or pre-plan my set so that I have more time to beat, match and mix them together? Okay, Andretta, when you are fully coherent as a DJ, when you've been doing it a long time, that kind of question doesn't really matter, because you can pretty much mix anything into anything on the fly. But getting from beginner to that place is difficult, and you need a tactic, and you're kind of somewhere in the middle there now, where you can either come up with some clever stuff, or you can spend your time getting the tunes you already know mixed together, but you can't do both. So here's what I recommend. What I always recommend to DJs who are playing out for their first few live sets is to get little mini sets of 3 or 4 or even 2 tunes that you've practiced. You know how to mix them together. And instead of constructing your set when you're playing live from just individual tracks, slot your mini sets together. Slot your 5 or 10 or 20 minute sets together that you've already worked on. That means you've got the spontaneity to react to the crowd, to react to the mood and how you feel and so on. But at the same time, you're technically doing the job. You're not panicking, and you're not just playing something that's totally pre-planned. And so your head's down. You're not even looking at what they're doing, because why would you? Because you're just going to play what you've already planned. That's wrong as well. So by having little pre-planned mini sets that you practiced, you can kind of have the best of both worlds. And I know DJs who've been DJing for decades who still do that. They mainly do it by default, because they find a couple of songs that go well together, and they like to play those together, and they kind of just remember it. But it's a great way of getting from that kind of beginner, where mixing, you can do it but it's hard, to the really fluid stuff that the pros kind of do without thinking. So Cam Rivera says, my only concerns are lighting and speakers. Will I be expected to provide these for non-traditional venues, i.e. anywhere other than clubs? And what's the number one area to look for if I have to buy speakers for my mobile setup? Okay, Cam, so this is kind of like if you want to DJ in parties and places where they haven't got their own PA system. Normally, yes, a DJ who's hired or asked to do something like that will be expected to bring that kind of stuff. But what I did for many, many years, and what I'd recommend you do as well, is just to rent it, just to go and hire the stuff that you need. That way you'll get used to using it, you'll get used to how it works, and you'll work out what you like and what you don't like. Hopefully the rental company will have different setups, and depending on the fee you can charge, you can rent bigger or smaller depending on the room and so on. And that way when you do come to finally buying your own gear, you won't make a very expensive mistake. So definitely rent your gear first. Okay, so the next question is from loads and loads of people who just asked, is the Digital DJ Masterclass good for beginners? And other people have said, is it good for people who've taken previous courses? And most of you mentioned our How to Digital DJ Fast course. So really they're two sides of the same coin here. The course is designed to take you from complete beginner to DJing like a pro. That's what the course does. You don't need to have any experience at all about DJing. You don't even need to have any gear. We take you through the whole lot. So if you're a beginner thinking about taking this course, then that's absolutely fine. If you've already taken our How to Digital DJ Fast course, now that is kind of a bare bones course that's designed to do the one single thing that I recommend above everything else for new DJs, which is playing 1 hour, one short gig, one short set somewhere without making a total fool of yourself. Because I know that once you've done that, you're hooked. You're going to want to carry on DJing. So that beginner course I have is just designed to get you to that first base. This course here starts from the same place but takes you so much further. So if you've already done the How to Digital DJ Fast course, you've got a bit of a head start on people who are totally beginners here, but this course is so worth it, trust me. It's going to take you from that first DJ set or that first little mixtape that you've done right the way up to knowing all the important stuff that all pro DJs know. So really, yeah, in both cases it's perfect for you. Okay, so Baz Van Nispen, great name Baz, who works at the Bink in Stali group. So Baz, hello. He says, with new controllers popping up all the time, it makes you feel that you're behind the competition if you don't keep up with the newest technology. It's probably wrong to think that way, but that's what I feel like sometimes. Does anyone else have this feeling? Well, I'm going to speak for a lot of our audience. Yes, people do have this feeling. You know, we're kind of part of the problem sometimes. We review all the new gear, we play on all the new gear. But let me tell you a truth, Bas. Two things really. One, your audience doesn't give a hoot what you're playing on. It really doesn't care. I've played massive corporate gigs on an iPad running simple DJ software. Your audience doesn't care, you know. The second thing is the actual stuff you do behind that equipment as a DJ is far more important than the equipment you're using. It's about the music you choose, the mood that you get going, the energy you bring to the room, how much you're enjoying it, the passion you're putting in. DJing is about, you know, taking the passion from you and giving it to everyone else. The equipment is just there to enable that. And yes, new equipment has great stuff on. You know, this is Tractor Control S8. It's got these remix decks on here. You can plug all kinds of stuff into it. We've got record decks and CDJs running through it and so on. But what comes out of this and into the speakers is pretty much going to be what you decide comes out of that and into the speakers. And that decision, that thought process, that music that you've collected so carefully is nothing to do with the gear. Buying new gear is great, but my advice is always, once you've bought it, forget it. Get on with DJing. And let me tell you another quick story. When I learned to DJ, it was record decks, record decks, record decks. I DJed for 15 years, and that's all anyone had. 2 Technics and a little Pioneer mixer. And they were some of the most creative times in DJing that we're probably ever likely to see. Just look at hip hop, look at turntablists, and that stuff didn't rely on new gear every year. The new gear is great, but it ain't what it's all about. So yes, it's all right to feel that bass, but you're right, you're probably wrong. Okay, Stuart Arnold says he's resident DJ at soundwaveradio.net. Nice one, Stuart. He says, Phil, please tell me how you think this masterclass course would help me. I currently play on an internet station where I have over 4,500 listeners per show every week. Nice one, Stu. He says, I've also won the BPM DJ of the Week last week. We had a DJ in last year's masterclass who won the BPM DJ and got to play at the BPM show. So someone else who's done that. Nice one again, Stuart. He says, I'm constantly getting number ones on Mixcloud over this past few weeks. I'm still number one at the moment, a man with some success under his belt. But he says, how will the masterclass push me even further? Well, Stuart, if you've got that far on your own, that's absolutely awesome. Just think how far you could be if you'd taken professional training as well. I guess the question I would ask you would be, are you where you want to be in your DJing? Are you where you want to be now? Is what you just described, you know, what you want? And if it is, then maybe, yeah, you know, well done, you've got to where you want to be. But if you feel like there's improvements you can make on the way you collect music, the way you mix music, your techniques, your proficiency on different types of DJ gear, if you feel like you could be getting more bookings or getting better bookings, or you're not promoting yourself right and you want some help with that, these are all the things that are in the Digital DJ Masterclass that could potentially help you. So my answer is well done for getting this far, but if any of those things are ringing bells and you're thinking, yeah, you know what, I would like to improve in one or all of those areas, then definitely there's going to be stuff in there for you, Stuart. And you've built such a great foundation to build on that. To me, it would be a bit of a no-brainer. Okay, I think we're kind of running out of time here. I'm getting nods from the corner there. So I just want to reiterate that in 24 hours time, more or less, we're going to open Digital DJ Masterclass to the public. It's oversubscribed. It's only open once a year. There are limited places. Please sign up to the mailing list where you can link beneath this video if you want to find out about that, because I expect it to sell out within just a few days and I don't want you to miss out. And finally, which I said at the very beginning, please go watch all these videos if you haven't seen them all, because when that course launches, we're going to be concentrating on that. And unfortunately, all this is going to have to go. So this is your last chance to take on board this kind of like 2 hours of free training we've done now. And to join in with it. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you inside the Digital DJ Masterclass full course very soon.